but
Oh, okay. I
okay,
wasn't
but
aware that they still made the AOL app.
well, I don't know if they still make it, but I know a lot of people get their AOL mail through the AOL. Uh, just log into AOL like through Chrome, right? Which I'm doing right now, actually on my Windows 10 computer. So, of course, my Windows 10 computer's got audio and a camera, and my Windows 7 does not. So that's why I use my laptop for the Zooms. I got
Okay, so if you had the Discord app on that Windows 10 computer, when you go into email and click on a Discord link, that Mike puts in an email, it instead of opening up a different browser
I'm gonna
tab,
pick up. I'm gonna pick up with you later. I gotta leave.
okay,
All right. Well, I will introduce this then. This is the February Central Florida Computer Society Technical SIG, TechSIG. And we have Drew King with us at the moment. Paul Fulton is logged in, but switched over to another conference with his Ham Radio Club, which is also tonight. And we are waiting for more folks to join us shortly. And I think what I'm going to do, instead of continuously recording, is I'm going to put recording on pause, and then I will start it back up again when more people join us. So hang on a moment.
uh, send anywhere on my cell phone. And Google Photos looks like it automatically detects new folders that contain photos. And I used Send Anywhere to send a photo from my computer to my phone. And then Google Photos recognized the new folder and I approved it. And now that photo is in my Google Photos.
What Drew is referring to is earlier today, we had a one-on-one chat using Discord, and we were talking about different ways of sharing photos between Apple computers and Android. Well, Apple phones actually and Apple accounts, and Linux or Windows computers using Google Photos and Google and not folders, albums in
Right.
those.
So,
It gets a little convoluted.
so what I noticed is that the Send Anywhere app is in the Apple App Store as well as the Google Store. And it has a link inside to your recent media files and also your media files. So, um, what would happen is your son, for example, takes a picture with his camera, and then when he wants to send it to you, he opens up Send Anywhere. It will immediately, in the upper left-hand corner, show the most recent photo. He taps on it and then types in, it'll give him a list of the recent entries that places that he has already sent photos to. You'll be in that list. And then he just taps on your account. It goes up to the cloud, and then it will land on your phone shortly thereafter.
Well, that's one way of doing it. It's not the end state that I want.
And then Google Photos will automatically see the Send Anywhere folder and upload the photo into Google Photos, and you'll have the photo in your photos without having to do
But
anything.
well, but then I've got to put it in the album I want to put it in.
You have to, yes, you'll have to associate the photo with the album, but that's it.
The larger subject is in mixed media or mixed hardware families where key people in the families use Apple key people use Android and may or may not even have computers, but some do and some don't. Sharing pictures, not just for archival purposes, but for functional purposes that you might want to use those pictures for at a later date. And I made the comment when I was talking to Drew that our family, essentially my son and then his grandchildren, his children and grandchildren, and now great-grandchildren for us, are all pretty much Apple people, although my son does use an Android phone primarily. And I do a annual calendar, and each page of the calendar either has a full page picture or it has a montage of pictures that are sort of keyed to the month of the birth date of the person who appears on. Some cases there's multiple people in that month because of all the children and grandchildren. And I set up a Google Photos album, which is, now Google wants me to speak, which is that calendar. That's the name of the album. So I've got calendar 2024, calendar 2025, and goes back quite a bit. And then I invite each of the children and grandchildren to join it. And I start sending emails out towards the end of the year saying, all right, you guys, if you want to have a nice calendar in the coming year, submit pictures to this album. You can text them to Granny, my wife, who uses an Apple, or me, if you wish. But then we both have to work in order to get them into this Google Photos album. So why not put Google Photos on your computer, tablet, phone, and automatically just share or manually just drag and drop your stuff in there. And I'll get them, and then we'll pick the right ones and put them where they need to go. And it's like herding cats. It takes forever. When I get towards the end of October and the deals for the discounts on the calendars are getting short, because you go past Thanksgiving and now you're paying full retail price for them, I threaten them and I say, all right, you don't send me pictures, I'm going into my archives, going back into the 70s, and I'm going to find very embarrassing pictures of you guys. Like my oldest grandchild, who's in her late 30s now, has a 5-year-old youngster in a bubble bath, covered in bubbles, obviously, to make it a safe picture, but very embarrassing to have on in the calendar. I said, well, I don't get pictures from you. Guess what I'm going to use?
Yeah. I mean, I was at a wedding last year where they basically required everybody that attended the wedding to load Google Photos. When you got to the reception, everybody had a card on their table at their plate, and it had a QR code, and it was for installing Google Photos if you didn't have it already, and linking Google Photos to their wedding album that was on Google Photos.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it enabled everybody at the wedding to take pictures of each other and upload them to that wedding album so that everybody at the wedding saw everybody else's pictures that they shared with the wedding. I thought that was kind of neat. And that's sort of what you want to do with your family, only your family's not cooperating.
That, and as I said, multiple devices, and Facebook is very common in use. And those who know me know I have an aversion to anything that's meta. And So I refuse to join the family Facebook. And they say,
mm,
"Oh, come on, Pops, what difference does it make?" Well, that's me. So anyway. But yeah, so Drew had some good ideas this afternoon, and he's got some good ideas in the Android apps and several other things. And I guess I will still just continue doing what I'm doing now. One thing I probably will do, which if you're going to talk about it tonight, is either use the iSync, or is it iSync and then R clone, either one of those two apps, and that will let me log on to my wife's iCloud account and get all the pictures that our family texts to them. So
yeah, iSync is an Android app in the Google Play App Store, and I'm able to access my Apple iCloud drive. And if somebody were to share a folder with me, if your wife were to share a folder with you, then you would have access to all the photos that she puts into that folder.
that's probably what I'm going to do. I'll just borrow her phone and share it with me, and that way I know when my granddaughter shares pictures of our new great grandson, great grandson, born on the 30th of January. The vast
But
majority of the pictures are text sent to my wife. So I would
but
just
I
put them on an app.
yeah, I created a free iCloud account, and it's actually my Gmail address, and as my Apple ID, and that's what I log into when on my Android phone and on Windows.
Evening, Huey. Paul, did you say that your time up front is limited?
Yeah, I got till 7:30 to play around here.
Okay. I'm going to switch over, and Paul sent a couple of interesting videos out today, which I have created a new channel on the Discord for, on his alarm system and his troubleshooting, and has a real interesting 5-minute video that I'm going to play for him. And even though you narrated, if you want me to to stop it and you want to speak over it, or wait to the end and then comment on what you actually did. And first I will hit my share screen. That's interesting. I'm not getting the little, oh, there we go, share sound. Yep. Optimize for sharing. Just up to. For those that haven't seen it, this is the CFCS Discord BBS. And this is the new alarm devices and systems channel. And these are the two video links, along with an AI summary of what his second one talks about. And I've already got the YouTube. So what I'm going to do is get it here. I thought I had opened it. Just a moment. Okay. Get it. And then I will move it over.
I'm currently working on a Radio Shack safe house alarm system. The number is 49-450B, like Baker. I thought I'd make this video actually in the last minute here before I put this thing together. But I thought it was a good idea since I could find nothing on this. I did have the schematic, and the initial problem was my battery went bad, and I did not know why, and I just had a intuition that something else was wrong. I am a electrical engineer, been doing this 50 years. I'm retired, but I fix my own stuff still. And I ordered a new battery, and I put it in, and I did the basic check out, removing AC power, make sure the battery backup would work. But what I didn't see is I didn't see an increase in voltage when I removed AC power. And I just started digging, and something just didn't feel right. All the switches did the right things, but there was nothing on YouTube or anywhere about this problem. So, of course, the thing's in pieces right now, which is no big deal. And I had to move my little shop from my regular area into the laundry room because I couldn't remove the unit from the wall. Way too much trouble. So I'm working on it over here. And this small board here is the charging board. Basically, the rest of it is the alarm board, but this is the charging board. And it's got a fuse in series with the battery. Of course, I checked that and it was good. But when I was looking at it, this resistor right here was cold, and that's a 3 or 4 watt resistor. It should have a little heat to it if they put one in that big. And I felt like the board wasn't working, and I started looking at these parts, and this dark blue capacitor, which is the new one that I've replaced, was the problem. When I looked at the original old one, which is this guy over here, it just didn't look good. The plastic didn't look fresh. It looked like it was aged, which it is, and overheated. The plastic is pulled back from the center, which is a clue. So I got my capacitor checking out, capacitance checker, and I started checking these capacitors here. And the one on the right's 1,000 microfarad, and that checked good. And the one on the left didn't check nice. The reading was all over the place. It came up, it went down. So the in-circuit check was invalid, I thought. So I pulled the capacitor out and checked it. And it checked darn near 0 microfarad. So I went and got a 470 mic that I had in my stock of stuff and put it in there, and now the voltage goes up on the battery about 1/10 of a volt. And it is a fully charged battery, so it's not going to charge very much, but it is going up in voltage a little bit. And the resistor's getting hot, and I think it's working. I think I'm good to go on this. I just got to put it together, and time will tell. But this is the problem. If you got one of these alarms, you know, this is what it looks like. And if it's not charging, dollars to donuts, that 470 microfarad. Whoops, there goes my alarm. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I got a little thing I want to listen to on the phone. So, you know, if you've got that problem, it's a really good probability that capacitor is bad, because you can see the 1,000 microfarad on the right looks pretty good. The plastic looks good. It's not pulled back. And I got a 470 in there, and I had the exact value, which is probably not critical. You could probably use 500, 400, but 0 doesn't make it. 10 doesn't make it. You know, you got to be up there within 10%. Would be nice. It's not overly critical, but you know, that capacitor probably brought up the voltage for the circuit, so it didn't bring up the voltage, and the rest of the circuit wasn't working. So now it's cooking along. So I hope this is going to help somebody with this repair. So y'all take care, and I hope this works for you if you've got the same problem. That was in 2022.
The question I have, Paul, is if you're not around, who are you going to find to do this kind of repair? What is that, about 20, 30-year-old device?
Well, yeah, it probably was installed from the original owner of the house,
Yeah,
probably from mid-80s.
yeah.
It's a really popular alarm system. You can buy them brand new on eBay. Still amazing. Either new or used, but they're out there. You can buy one.
I didn't
So
look at your earlier video. Was it a similar problem? You had to replace a capacitor on that
now
as well?
that video is from 2022. The second video is from like yesterday.
Oh, I thought that's the one we were watching. Okay,
No, that was the original repair.
okay. What happened
Then,
yesterday?
then I had the same problem. The battery went dead, and there was no voltage coming out for the battery.
And you still haven't
Similar,
done anything with
similar,
it?
similar symptoms, different repair.
Okay. Well, we will probably talk about more modern, alarm systems as we get into this. I've got a couple of things to talk about myself on smoke alarms.
Are you going to play the second one?
Well, you said you had to leave.
So, okay, well, look, let me just explain it first, and
Okay.
then you can play it. Okay, so the deal was there's a voltage regulator, a real simple device. It gets voltage in, and there's a ground, and then it gets voltage out, and then there's a pin that sets the output voltage. So there was nothing on the output whatsoever, on the output or the control pin, which gets set by a voltage divider. Anyway, so that's where I basically lost the voltage at the voltage regulator. So I said, okay, it's probably bad. I look on eBay, and only one person. I mean, I looked on everywhere, Google, every place else. One guy on eBay had the part, and he was in Poland. So I said, well, what the hell? This is the only show in town. I ordered the part, and it was $4 plus like $8 shipping was $12, and I got two parts. I got two units. He was selling it as a package. So I got the part, in about 3 weeks roughly. I got the part like sometime, like within a week ago. I hadn't had time to put it in. And yesterday was the day, and the rainy day was the day I decided to work on the thing. So,
We'll save the video as an enticement for people to go to Discord and watch it.
So anyway, so I put the device in, soldered it up, and I got voltage coming out. And now I've got a battery on order at Amazon. I didn't want to order the battery till I knew absolutely it was working, before I blew $17, So I realized I could have had it all working up and running today, but I just decided to do things, in sequence, you might say. So that's my 2 cents on it, and you can play it. And I got about 6-7 minutes.
Whoa.
I'm gonna save it so we can spread our discussions out, and it's a promo for anybody who's watching this video and not with us tonight. Go to Discord and you'll see both of Paul's videos there, and then we can discuss it next month and see what you got from it. So, enticement. Since you've got 5 minutes, the only other question I would ask, which is along these same lines, the average person, they buy a house, the alarm system's there, it's failed, but all the wires are there, okay, and they're all plugged into all the different sensor connectors, and hopefully they're also documented in some kind of a sheet or a label or whatever, and says this is front door, left window, back door, etc. So would the best thing to do would be like go on Amazon or some other parts place, eBay, and buy a more modern control unit and just take the old one and replace it.
You can go out and buy a newer unit that does more stuff, a dialer, and has a lot more. but the basic inputs to it are the same. It's going to have its own power supply, obviously, not use the power supply that I've got that plugs in the wall. And then basically in my house, I've got a loop through all the doors. It's a closed circuit loop. And then you've got then you need an entrance door loop, which basically is a delayed alarm. That's so you can come in the house and go over to the alarm and shut it off before the alarm goes off. The same thing is when you set the alarm and leaving the house, you got I've got a timer. I think it goes to 40 seconds. I got it set like 20 seconds. I got 20 seconds after I turn the key to walk to the door or, whatever, and get out of the house and close the door. Because after 20 seconds, the alarm arms, and then opening any door will cause the alarm to go off. So there's two basic loops and this is real common for all alarm systems. This is how most of them, work. And then of course, there are other, most of these loops are closed circuit loops, but there's also open circuit. It's got provision for open circuit. I can't call it a loop because it's not closed, but you can hook something to open circuit, and if something should close, I guess it will trigger the alarm. But a closed loop is the real common stuff, and you can have as many door sensors as you want, or as long as the resistance is. I think I read somewhere on my alarm, it's got to be under 200 ohms for, and it reads about 5 ohms through the whole house, 5 or 6 ohms. So it's got to be under 200 before the alarm sees it as an open circuit. It's basically an ohm meter, there's no magic here. So I did have a problem with the alarm going off periodically. After I left the house, the alarm would go off, and I found that there was a connection in the living room behind the TV set in a box there. It was a connection for the alarm system that was, I think they used just crimps. They just crimped the wires together there. It must have been a joining point. And I found a problem, and I was shaking the wires, and Mindy was looking at the ohm meter. I probably had to look at the ohm meter, and I found a problem. So I ended up just cutting all that stuff out, soldering it up, just soldered the wires together and taped them up. And problem was ended. But, you got to keep the resistance under 200. So on my unit, probably similar for other units, whatever it might be. So 10 ohms is kind of you should be able to do your whole house for 10 ohms if you got good connections. And I just had to replace 4 of the door, what do you call them? The door sensors, the magnetic door sensors. Of course, I opened the door and the green light was still on the alarm that showed a closed circuit when the door was open. So then I said, I better check everything. I found 4 that were bad. I ordered 5 of them, a package deal off of eBay, and put them all in about 3-4 weeks, a few weeks ago. So
I've
I
got
guess
an
they go
alarm
there.
service
Yeah.
company, and they come out and give me an annual check each year. And this
Okay.
is an almost 40-year-old house now.
All right.
And
I guess
typically they do fail, and some of them you can't get in there and solder the wires.
I'm going to check back with you later.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just basically had him replace the sensors with wireless sensors. And so each one got a little box and then a receiver that he mounted inside the utility cabinet. And eventually I'll probably wind up with what most people get if they get a new alarm system, and everything is wireless. I'd say about a third of my sensors right now have been replaced from just contact sensors hooked up to wires. the little wireless devices with a 10-year lithium battery. Of course, 10-year lithium batteries fail after 10 years, which is my other story if we get to it this week. But we'll get off the subject of alarms and go around and see what everybody else would like to talk about. Huey, anything you'd like to discuss with us tonight? You're muted.
Just alarmed about the whole thing. Yeah, I made a change in my website because of AI, and I've been working on it quite a bit, and I want to share what I've done.
Okay.
I'm hearing something. Oh, you know what it is? My battery's going dead in my headset. That's what the noise is. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's show sound. And that's not what I want. What I want is, and Mike, you said apparently you had this, so it was.
Yeah, I didn't see the AI news on my
Yeah.
menu.
But if you move it farther out, it then shows up. Or you click more and you'll see what else is out there. There's just not room for everything.
Yeah, and when I was doing it, it was on my older Linux notebook, and for some reason, until I updated everything and rebooted, the more didn't show it either. Or maybe I just had to clear all the cache, which I usually do also.
So what I've done is I've set it up so I am showing either videos or articles. This is a video. These are all videos with the little red arrow, but they don't have the little red arrow in them. It's an article. You click on it, it takes you to the article. And let's see here. Let me go back now. And if I click, I probably should have turned the sound, not turned the sound on, but if I click on this.
Google just launched VO2 on.
Okay, so the video will start and you can then make it bigger and watch it there. But some of the videos I've been watching are just fantastic and right up to date. There's some new things happening with Google AI Studio, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. I spoke about it a little bit at last month's Let's Talk AI, and I'm going to talk about it again this Friday when I have the meeting. But this Google AI Studio is just unbelievable, some of the things it can do. I've been playing with it for 2 days. I can't get it to do some of the things that I've seen in the videos. They don't tell you everything on how to get to it, but it's just some of the text to video and pictures to video, and some of the text and agents that are out there now. And I've gotten to the point now where when I need something done and it's repetitive and it's many things, I'm using AI to do it. One of the things that I had to do was I wanted to go into my bookmarks, and I wanted to make a list of my AI bookmarks. So I said, make 3 columns for Excel, one with one with the bookmark, and then one with what it is, and then a 1 sentence of what it does. And AI did that for me. I did it in chunks because I didn't think the 200 and so bookmarks that I had in the one list, it would want to do all of them together, but it did a nice job, and I do have that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, and of course I've been adding since then to my bookmarks, but I do have an Excel now. Let's see if I can find it. Not online, so you can't see what I'm doing here. Let me see if I can find it first. Mailing list. What the hell did I call it? Bookmarks is a list. Let's see if that's what it is. Yeah. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. What I was able to do is I can put the name down. It's got the link to it, which is a link. and then also a one line of what it basically does. Now, I don't know how accurate all of them are. They're because some of them do, much more than one little line in a spreadsheet's going to tell you what it does, but at least gives me a little bit of information. And I haven't gone back in to look at them or check them out, but AI pretty much just from the link in my bookmarks, and I got to that by going to, let's see here, go to bookmarks. Bookmarks? No, that's downloads. I don't want that. And bookmarks. Where to go now? Bookmark list, bookmarks and list, and then bookmark manager. And then I've got a folder called AI. And I click it. And these are all the ones that I have in my list. And I was able to take it from this bookmark list and make this Excel spreadsheet. And so I'm using AI to do some more things that I couldn't do before, without a lot of work.
I will amplify on what you just said, and it's in the theme of alarms, which started the meeting, and which I was going to talk to later. But since you brought up how you used AI to help you do your research, a lot of people will say, well, what good is AI for me? It's just entertainment or drawing pictures or stuff like that. I mean, I want something that's productive. So I wanted something that was productive. So I'm going to share my prompt and response to Copilot this morning.
Playing from Drew's S23 Plus.
Oops. Okay, well, that's not what I'm doing, but I think that was yours. Drew.
Oh, that was mine. Yeah, I gotta shut that down.
That's all right. So I just went on to Copilot. I had a failure of my smoke alarms, which is a story into and of itself. And so I wanted Copilot to help me out when I wanted to summarize things and put it up on Discord for people as a research. So like Huey did for his bookmarks, I just gave Copilot a prompt. I said, there's a number of home smoke and or carbon monoxide alarms on the market. Please provide a paragraph as an overview to the subject, then a table listing the types of alarms, whether they are battery powered or direct wired. If direct wired, whether they have battery backup. If they have battery backup, the types of batteries used, AA cell, 9-volt cell, or lithium ion, and the advantages of each type. And then they gave me a very nice lead-in paragraph with a statement of the whole thing, and they gave me my table. So you can see I've got a type of alarm, the power source, whether it's battery backup, the battery type, and what the advantages are, which I thought was pretty good. My big thing is one of my smoke alarms is at the top of a 12-foot vaulted ceiling. I got to go out in the garage and get a rickety old 12-foot step ladder. And with my shaky legs, my wife holding my ankles, get up to the top of my vaulted ceiling and disconnect it. And I don't want something that's got a AA or a 9-volt. It's got to be a 10-year lithium. And it was actually about 10 years when this thing failed. So I just basically took that, and I'll close that little tab. And you can see here on the alarm devices channel, I pasted in the introduction and then the advantages and disadvantages in the table. And I probably could have done the same thing that Huey did and to go on one additional step and said, take the table and please create an Excel spreadsheet for me, which I had no use for, but it would have been very nice. So it's, any project that you're doing prompts like that, you're sort of doing some research, you know what you're sort of looking for, but you're not quite sure. And then you want to have advantages and disadvantages of the various choices that you're researching. And AI is more than just a large language model now. I mean, it does comparisons, but the biggest thing is that be factual. And technically speaking, although it looks correct, to me. I didn't see anything that might be wrong. But technically speaking, if you're really making a decision based on the output, give the same prompt to one of the other AIs and see if you get the same answers.
I did with the videos that I've been putting up. I wanted it to give me a 2-sentence summarization of the whole video, and I was trying different AI chats to do it, and I can't even remember which one I ended up using, but I think it was Gemini was able to do it. Most of the other ones couldn't do it because of either the information that was there, or they couldn't actually open up YouTube videos, and so it said that I can't complete that. Another one had something that was copywritten in the website, and so they had a reason that I couldn't get into it with that because of that and get a summary. So I had, I think, 6 different AI chats open from different companies to try to do different things to figure out which one would work and which one wasn't working.
Okay, so
Boy, was it confusing.
I will share again. Not all AI is free, but sometimes it's worth paying for it, as you well know. So we've already seen Paul's presentation, and I wanted a summary, and I use Eightify, which is this little icon up here. Summarize YouTube videos with AI. I know that Chrome also has the ability to summarize built in. This was, I think they actually came out before. It's been getting very, very good. So I just fed Paul's video on his repairs and said, give me an insightful key insights of Paul's video. And so it gave me this list, component replacement, repair process. And so he took his 6-minute video and summarized it. And then if I truly want to get everything that's there from the timestamp summary, I can just switch to a timestamp summary and say, okay, now give me the information based on when in the video. And it gives me a lot more detailed and says exactly what he did and how he did it. So I've gotten better summaries from other AIs, but when I want to do quick summaries, I typically do that. I'm a veteran. I'm in the American Legion, and Doug Collins, who's the new VA secretary, just had a 15-minute presentation today, and I didn't have time to listen to all 15 minutes. I just plugged it into YouTube, hit Eightify, and I got my timestamp summary of all his key points. So for me, paying the annual fee, whatever it is, has been worthwhile doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you something else here that I have, and I'll put the link to it. But let me go ahead and share again. And let's see. I'm going to turn the sound off just to make sure I don't have an issue, but I'm not probably even going to look at the videos anyway. But this is a site that I found. It's VideoTalk, and videotalk.app, and then AI-YouTube-generator. I don't sign in, I don't do anything, but I can take any YouTube, and let me just find one here. Let's see. I don't even know what it is. It's one of the ones I think I showed. I put it in. You get 3 generations a day. So I've only used one today. So I'm going to paste it and then tell it to generate. It's loading it.
Ooh.
There it is. Gives me the title. It gives me a 1-paragraph explanation of it, and it gives me the timestamps. And when I put this in the description of my YouTubes, those are all linked. They're all links. And it'll take you right to the spot in the video that those are in. And it also gives you the tags. So I can just copy this and use it.
So we could take our hour-long or so video of this TechSIG. You could get the timestamps, turn around, paste it in, and then get links to it.
Yeah, that's, let me just go to YouTube here for a moment. I'm in mine or not. No, I'm not. Let me switch to my account. Switch accounts. And then go to mine, your channel. And okay, well here's one. I just did a review of some hearing aids I bought. So whoops, I don't want to start it. What I want to do is I want to go to it. So I want to click there. Okay. And you'll see here that I just copied and pasted. And there's the link. So if I want to go to rechargeable technology and UV sanitation, I click that. It takes me right to that part of the video.
That is neat.
Yeah, put the link in chat when you get a chance.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah, that is really nice.
You only get 3 a day, but
Well,
you know,
I don't do 3.
I'd only need one a week.
Okay, let's see. The chat is there,
And then the rest of them I would sell to you, Huey.
okay.
Okay.
There's the link for it. Okay, that's it for me for now, anyway.
Thank you. Mr. Bogle.
Yes.
I've seen you on several of our social chats this week. What's happening?
Not a whole lot. Not been spending a lot of time with my computer, but one of the things I did discover on one of the computers in the house, it's one that my wife uses, she was having problem with the taskbar in Windows. And the taskbar, of course, contains icons for anything you choose to put down there. And her icons disappeared. So I had to restart the computer and they came back, but then they disappeared again. So I decided that I probably ought to check the condition of Windows. So I ran SFC and Scan Now, and by golly, it found some problems. Repaired them, and so far she's not had a problem with it since. So I would offer that as something. And I ran a Scan Now on my computer, and it didn't find any problems. So I would offer the suggestion that maybe from time to time you ought to run SFC Scan Now on your computer. Doesn't hurt anything, and you might find a problem and fix it.
So on both of your computers, are you Windows 10, Windows 11, or a combination?
Windows 11.
Both 11 now? Okay.
Yes.
What was that scan again?
SFC scan now.
Says SFC is Sierra Fox Charlie. SFC, System File Checker. And
It's a command line. You got to go into the command line, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
One other thought on the alarms that we were talking about. I would not go back to an old alarm system. It is just, there have been too many improvements since. And one of the things that apparently Paul does not have is monitoring of his alarm system. And that's one of the things you're not going to get in such an old system. And the second thing is he has to go through gyrations to turn it on and turn it off. Modern systems, you do that with your phone.
Yeah. I have a lot of neighbors with Simply Safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd recommend Simply Safe to somebody who asks me for a recommendation. And from Simply Safe you can literally just go to Amazon and buy the key components, the core components, which has got the Wi-Fi base, and then everything connects to it with Wi-Fi. And then you can get add-ons, and you can get cameras, and you can get monitoring, and you can even get a professional to come to your house who is an authorized installer and do an installation setup and training. So they've really expanded their ecosystem.
Now,
Yeah.
have you compared it to ADT?
Not me personally, no. My system, this house, let's see, it was built in 1960, or excuse me, 1987. 1987 when I first came to Orlando. And one of the options was to have the house pre-wired for security, but no sensors installed. Everything was just wires that were hanging out wherever they happened to be, and great big wire bundles just hanging out of the wall in the utility room. And I worked at the Naval Training Devices Center when I first got here, and one of the engineers, very much like Paul, did his own part-time security system installations, going to houses that were just like mine. And we reached a deal, and he came over and we looked at it. And even back then, there were miniaturization systems being sold. So instead of a big cabinet in the utility room, it was a keypad. And then the keypad had an integrated circuit board, much like the board that Paul had. But it was the size of maybe 2 inches on each side around the keypad, and it just mounted with a wire bundle in the utility room. And it connect all these things just connected up with their tiny little wires and screw them all in. And it had monitoring. It was connected to the landline that we had in our house at that time. And that lasted probably 20 years. And the big thing then was to get protections from somebody just cutting your landline outside. The only real way you could do that was to get a Wi-Fi hookup, and by that time we had internet. So then, in essence, we totally disconnected it from the landline, and we used internet, which was a dial-up. So they had a little modem and dial-up thing, and it would log in and do its thing, make reports every hour or something like that. And then that changed to, when we went to fiber optics, that changed to a fiber optic connection. And recently it was changed again, and it's an AT&T cellular panel that just take one module out, put that module in. There's actually a cellular antenna that goes up on the wall. Everything now has its own dedicated, I think it's something like, I don't know, another $15, $20 a month on an annual plan, just added to the monitoring. And but yes, if I were starting over, I'd replace the whole guts with something like SimpliSafe. Drew, I know we've got lots of stuff to talk about, but what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, the two things that I was going to cover was the 2FAS authenticator and Send Anywhere.
Okay. Why don't we talk about Send Anywhere first, and we'll cover the you're requesting multiple presenters to share. Let's see, allow. Yeah. Okay. And then
there we go.
about 2FAS and what we would like to do after the conference.
Yeah, okay. So basically, this is, let me minimize everything out of the way here. And then just bring up the cell phone. And
what
if
app,
I bring up,
what app are
if
you
I bring up,
to show your cell phone?
can you see the cell phone now?
Yeah, what app are you using?
I'm using the Microsoft Your Phone.
Okay.
When you run Send Anywhere, I created a free online account. This is totally free to use. My phone is named S23 just because that's what it is, and I'm logged in to a free sendanywhere.com account. And you get 10 gigabytes of free storage on their server. So, for example, if I wanted to send a file that's 200 megabytes from my laptop to one of my other laptops, and they're not both on, it doesn't matter. I can send the file from laptop A to laptop B, and it will go into my 10 gigabytes of cloud storage. And then as soon as I turn my other laptop on, it will say, hey, somebody sent you a file. Would you like to download it? So that's kind of neat. Um, if I go, let's say, for example, this was a hypothetical example. Let's say um, somebody takes a photograph with their camera and they have an iPhone and you have an Android phone. Let's say when I go into Send Anywhere, it's going to go to the recent tab. If I go to the photos tab, it shows all of the photos on my phone by date. So if I wanted to send Huey, for example, let's say Huey was in my group. I wanted to send Huey a bunch of pictures of my dog. I could select the pictures that I wanted and then hit send. And then Huey, the first time down here, you see that I have a list of my devices. BlueStack, MSI is my laptop, my Microsoft Surface 8, my Dell Windows computer. These are all recent devices that I used that it discovered on my local network. If Huey's not on my local network, so if he typed in this code 516013, he would be able to receive those pictures of my dog on his computer, even though he's at home at his house. You don't have to be on the same local Wi-Fi like you do with local send, for example. You can send files to anybody anywhere in the world. Um, does anybody have any questions about this? If you want to send somebody a video, you just select videos and choose the video that you want to send.
So they get an email notice or they get a text notice?
No, 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 no. No, what happens is the Send Anywhere app will send you a notification saying that your son just sent you 4 pictures.
Okay, so we both have to have the Send Anywhere app, and it has to be active in order to get the notification.
You don't have to have it running. You just when you install the Send Anywhere app, you just give it permission to send you notifications.
Okay.
And leave it, and you don't have to have it running.
So you can send pictures from your phone to your computer and so forth.
Yes. If I click on the button send, if MSI is my laptop, is my Windows desktop computer. So if I tap MSI, are you sure you want to transfer these files? I say, okay. And now it's sending those 5 files.
Without the laptop having to come up, scan the code, or put the code in, it's just going there.
Right, because I logged into Send Anywhere using the same user ID and password on my phone and on my computer. And it's now 78, 80% done. And now it's moved. Come on.
And
now it's
when you send it, it's taking it off the Send Anywhere server and restoring your storage level, right?
so if I go in here and I run Send Anywhere, I can, MSI profile. Oh, I'm not signed in. That's why I'm not getting it right now. I would have to sign into my account. I won't do that right this second, but if
Yeah.
I were signed in, it would automatically have sent me those files. I apologize for not being logged on.
Well, the question though is, once you've sent it, and it's been acknowledged and it's been received, is it still in the cloud and you've got to go delete it, or it's sent and,
No,
or
it
it's
deletes it
freed it up?
automatically from the cloud.
Okay, it releases the space.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
that's good.
It's just there for the facilitation of the file transfer.
I've been using either pCloud or Proton Drive and getting a link and then sending the link to the recipient. But I can see if you're doing this on a regular basis, it would make a lot more sense to have your
So,
recipient have
yeah, I mean, if I go in and take a picture of my laptop and then I go back into send anywhere and I look at I want to send a file. I go into recent and it's going to hopefully in a moment scan um that file and let me there it is right there. And then I just hit send. Um and if I were logged on my Windows computer, it would just go there. Um so that's all there is to it. And then uh in Google Photos for you, if you go into Google Photos and you go into collections and you tap on this device, it found my Send Anywhere folder. It found out that it put a picture in that folder and it gives you the ability to go in here and say, yeah, I want to back it up. And this is Google Photos. So if you turn this on, it'll automatically back photos up that your son sends to you that land in your inbox.
How about text with pictures in them?
Text with pictures in them.
Mm-hmm. Typically, what I don't get email with attachments, and I don't get them sent to Google Photos. If I get them or my wife gets them, whoever is going to be using this app, they are texts with a picture embedded in them. And
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, in your case, I don't understand why when your son sends you a photo from an iPhone to a Android phone, you're not getting the picture. I always get pictures from Apple devices. That might be a separate problem that you're having. But what you could do is have your family use the Send Anywhere app as a way of texting to grandpa.
herding cats.
Yeah, I get
Well,
pictures.
we're going to Nebraska in May, and we're going to spend a week there. And my wife is having her 80th birthday celebration. And so we are going to have a family gathering, and I'm going to have a chance to address everybody and say, okay, guys, let's make this simple. You want
You
pictures
know,
of the annual calendar, you're going to have to send them to me, and I want them up on Google Photos in a common album, please.
yeah, and if you load iSync and set up your own free iCloud account, you can set up your own free iCloud account and you get 1 gigabyte of storage. But you don't need more than that, because what's going to happen is your children can share a folder with you. So when you go into iCloud Drive, it brings up this menu and you can click on shared, and you'll see all of the folders that your family members shared with you on their iCloud accounts. And then you can just download whatever you want.
We shall see.
That way your family doesn't have to get out of their Apple ecosystem.
Okay,
So that's Send Anywhere.
let me switch to Tom and then I'll come back to you for the 2FAS.
Yeah, I can't work. My camera won't come on. Anyway,
Tonight?
I've just been working on trying to get my password, get a password manager started, and I'm having nothing but troubles, but we're getting through it. It's very aggravating, that's for sure. So anyway, that's what I'm doing.
What password manager are you trying?
Well, I was actually right now I'm going to think I'm going to work with Bitwarden, and I may try one password, but there's nothing. I couldn't find anything on the internet that would tell me, give me a manual. And actually, Bitwarden has several man videos on how to use it. NordPass, I can find nothing. So
Yeah,
I would
Bitwarden
encourage a
is a
YouTube search, but go ahead, Drew.
yeah, yeah. You could do a search on YouTube, but Bitwarden is a very plain, simple, easy to use program. There really isn't a whole lot that you have to worry about learning.
well, I guess I could ask you very preliminary is which password manager would you suggest? I'm looking at NordPass, 1Password, and Bitwarden. Just, I
I'm
want
using,
Well, for a beginner, I would go immediately to Bitwarden.
okay, I'll
Number
do
one,
that.
it's one password is going to cost you money, I believe.
Yes.
And so does the NordPass.
Yeah, I'd have to pay for NordPass because would want it synced on my my iPhone and my PC also.
I'm
Right.
using Bitwarden.
And how easy is it to use?
Very, very simple.
I'm old, so I can't figure these
Well,
things out.
you're looking at a
Very
bunch of people.
aggravating.
You're looking at a bunch of people.
Well,
Oh, you guys are all pros, but I attend all your meetings. I really enjoy Huey and you guys, and that's the reason I'm out here in California. I'm in the right, no, left coast. Anyway,
Well, I'm a computer consultant, and I always, when a beginner customer of mine wants to use their very first password manager, regardless of whether they're on an iPhone or an Android phone or Windows or Mac, I tell them to go to Bitwarden.
okay, then that's settled right there. Now, as a totally aside in that, is there a way I can have this also on my computer? In other words, not use a cloud? Perchance if I needed if the internet was down or what have you. It's kind of a
The
silly question.
Bitwarden database exists in the cloud, so if your internet service is down, then your access to your password manager is also down.
Yeah. I guess the bottom line is I shouldn't
But
be spending extra money anyway. If the internet's down, I don't need any more stuff.
I
Actually,
mean,
what I was thinking, if I'm in a store or someplace where is I don't use I don't use data, is if I needed to, well, I said, don't take a credit card, and that's the way it is. Get over it, Tom.
I
Okay,
know
guys,
that
that's
the
what I've been working on. I'm trying to do APCUG. I'm trying to get everything, my security down and do my get SSA and IRS and et cetera, taken care of.
the most of the password managers that I've used, I happen to be using RoboForm, but I've been using it for many years, and I do pay for the the professional version, but most of the password managers, even I would assume Bitwarden, if you go online to your Bitwarden account, you go into your vault, there will probably be a drop-down menu and it says export. And it lets you export all of your account information, the account login and the account password. It'll be a file.
Yeah.
And you can download that file and put it somewhere where it's relatively safe, like on a USB drive or an external
Yeah.
drive. So it's not just sitting on your computer and available for somebody to try to hack into. But now you've got it available so that you can just look things up if you really need to.
Right. I tend to overthink everything.
That's always good.
I'm using a password manager I've used since I had a Palm Pilot, and I had it on that. And I have it on every one of my devices, and it stores it. I have it storing the central repository for it on Dropbox. But every time I open it, it downloads a copy to whatever machine I'm on and updates it. So if I'm offline, I can still get to the last database that it updated.
Right.
And I have it on my iPad, my Android phone, a laptop, a desktop. What else do I own? I have it on all of them. But the problem is, it was a program that when you bought for different platforms, each one costs money. But I've had it for so many years, and there's no updating the cost of it. And occasionally they update the software, and it works fine for me. I would like to change to Bitwarden, and I'm trying to follow some instructions on how to get the data out of the one I use and get it into Bitwarden, and I have not been successful. It is very convoluted.
I copied mine from RoboForm to Bitwarden.
Okay, guys, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just, I get some directions on how to do it. I'm working through it right now. So, but it's very, very, very frustrating.
Well, hopefully we're here to give you some help.
And
And
I'm going to look right now to see how many cards I have in mine.
I have OCD, so that doesn't help either. I spend hours and hours and hours and hours in this stuff. Anyway.
okay, I'll go back to Drew.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom,
Before you do, I
Yeah.
have
go ahead.
1,800 cards in my password manager.
800,
1,800.
1,800. Oh, yeah, I looked earlier
Uh,
today and I said in RoboForm, I probably have about 800.
But every time I go to one of the AI programs where I have to sign in, right away I create a password for it. It's a different password, totally, and put it in immediately. And then I also, when I get new software and I get a key, the combination of 16 different letters or whatever it is, that goes in. I create a card for it. And so if my computer dies and I got to start a new computer like I did, I can get the key and install the software without any problems.
Now, I have one question. Do you also have in there your Windows BitLocker key?
Yes, for my old computer. Haven't done it on the new one yet. I need to do that.
That's important to Stave as well.
Yep. And I have some API keys for AI as well.
That's a good idea where I can store that. My Lenovo went down, and I was actually on the phone with Costco. That's where I bought it from, and for like 2 hours and trying to redo the whole thing. And they wanted my BitLocker number, and so I went to my MS account, and I had like 12 different bit lockers, but we finally got through it, and we did find the correct one, and I got rid of everything else in my bit locker file. But again, Drew, that's a good idea where I can store that. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let's start, Drew, since we're recording this, and just a few words on what a two-factor authenticator actually is, and then specifically what 2FAS is and the advantages.
Okay. Well, basically, in our discussions that we've had with accessing resources that are important, such as a bank or a Google Drive, um, that is also available for two-factor authentication and supports an authenticator app. It's important when you set up two-factor authentication for the very first time to record somewhere safe the secret key that the web server gives you to create and set up your password authenticator. Let's say you decide to use the Google Authenticator. The Google Authenticator is going to want to either take a picture of a QR code or a 15-digit code that you type in. If you choose to use the QR code, then you're never going to know what that 15-digit code is, and you'll never have the ability to recreate your password or your token generator should it get broken or get thrown away or disappear. And you can't share it with anybody because you don't know what it is. So it's important to save it somewhere. And regardless of whether you use a whatever password manager you use, a lot of them, like for example, Bitwarden, you only get one database. And you don't want to store your user ID, your password, and your master key that creates that token generator in that same database file. So if you want to put it someplace safe, I highly recommend getting a copy of KeePass XC for your computer and creating a small database file that contains just the name of the website, like Amazon or Google, and in Google you would need to put in the account name and not the password, but put in that code.
And then what do you do with that code?
Now I hear something going. Wait a minute.
I think it's a
I don't know.
because I'm not hearing anything else.
Yeah, my computer is talking to me about something. I don't know what, but I'll try and ignore it. So that secret code, KeePass XC, by the way, can also be a two-factor token generator. So let's say, for example, your phone battery dies, or you drop your phone, or it lands in a water bucket, and you need to receive a two-factor token. In an emergency, the 2FAS app that I'm going to be showing you is supported on Android and on Apple. So, for example, Huey, you have an iPad and you have an Android phone. By using the Google Authenticator, you only have it, I think, on your Android phone. You don't have it synced to your iPad. And if you had 2FAS running as your authenticator app, you could put it on both devices and keep the databases in sync with each other so that you could use either one of them to enter a token on a site that lets you log in. KeyPass XC can also generate tokens in an emergency. So let me show you what I do with it real quick and show you what the 2FAS authenticator app looks like. I have to go into security and allow screenshots.
Drew, let me just interrupt you for a second. Is there anything sensitive here? I can stop recording.
No, these are all
Okay,
tokens that are going to expire in 30 seconds.
okay.
This is the clock that counts them down to from 30 to 0. So these are all of the accounts that I have in here. Now, if you are using the Google Authenticator, they don't provide you with any way to extract a single code. Say, for example, I wanted to share, this is the Stug account. If Huey wanted to log into the Stug account on a new device, it would need a code. If I click here and say edit, here is, it's hidden with dotted line, but I can expose it right here. If I would click on this little icon, it'll show me the secret key. I could then secretly transmit that code safely to Huey. Huey could put that secret key in his 2FAS app, and all of a sudden he would be able to generate tokens for the Stug account as well. In settings, you have the ability to set up backup. I have it set up to go to Google Drive automatically. So if you're on Android or Apple, you have the ability to use Google Drive or have Google Drive loaded on your device. So you can back up to Google Drive, whether it's on Apple or on Android. And if you add an entry on one, it goes to the other. And then if for some reason you have two devices that are not connected, let's say you want to give one to a friend that you trust, or a relative, a wife, a husband, a daughter, a son, you can export your data and set a password for it. Click on export. It'll ask you to put in the password, and then it'll save it to a file on your phone. Then you transfer it to somebody else, and they can import it into, they can click on import and then just point to that file. Here's the backup file. If I click on this file, it'll import it. So it's a very handy program. It's open source. It's totally for free. And it even comes with a browser extension. And the browser extension enables you to pair with encryption the app on your phone to a browser extension. What that does is when you get to a web page and you type in your user ID and password, whether it be manually or with your password manager, the next thing it's going to ask you for is that token. If you have your browser extension linked to the app on your phone, you can have it autofill the code from your phone into your browser window if you want to. That's a nice safety. It's a nice feature. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
So I've been using a couple of authenticators over the last, say, 2 years. I started with the Microsoft Authenticator. Then I went to the Google Authenticator and just deleted everything from the Microsoft. I was going to try to synchronize my password with it, and just like Huey's finding out, going from one password manager to the next, trying to get in those secret codes one by one, if you have them, is an excruciating process. And I just said, no, I'm just going to stay with this Google Authenticator. So, assuming I have the Google Authenticator at the moment, and for purposes of this discussion, this open discussion, I want my son to have access to my Google account, and I do the export. And then I send that export to him and say,
Well, actually, what you can do is, in order to set up 2FAS, you're going to need to know that secret key, that 15-digit secret key.
which I don't know.
So, the only way, and I don't know if there's any way of exposing that key using the Microsoft or the Google Authenticator. I think once you enter it, it's kind of hidden. I
So
don't think it. I don't think it has an option like 2FAS to show you the key.
okay.
So, you have really only one choice, and it's not the most desirable choice, but it's not a bad choice. It's to go to Google and log into your account, go to the security section, and just temporarily flip 2FF off, turn it back on again, and write down that code they give you. And then just tell your son to install 2FAS, give him the code.
So, well, I can give him the code, or I can do what you just said. I'd export it and say, here's just import this into your 2FAS, and it's done. And if my son were to say, okay, Dad, I've got it on the computer, but now it's a couple weeks later, and I've got my phone, which I didn't do it on my phone. So if he looks 2FAS on his phone, and do I have to go through that export and import again, or he can take that same export file and import it into that new device, and now that new device is synchronized?
If he has a file that's got valid tokens in it, valid secret keys in it and everything, he can import it to he could put it on his iPhone and his iPad if he wanted to.
So he wouldn't have to call me and say, hey, Dad, I'm about to go to your Google account, and when it asks you to authorize me, please just, accept the authorization. He could just import that secret code into 2FAS, and then he could immediately log in and just use it.
Yes. What'll happen is when you have two-factor set up on Google, at least mine anyway, when I type in my user ID and password, it sends a message to my Samsung phone and says yes or no. Did you just approve? Do you want to approve the login?
But
on now
my son is overseas somewhere, and he doesn't have that available to him.
Right.
But I've got the code, and he can just put that code in and not have to have
right
me prove it. Is that correct?
So what he's going to do is he's going to type in his user ID and password. He's not going to have a choice. Google is going to send your phone that yes or no question. He will have on his login screen a button that says other choices or choose another option. One of those other options is to use an authenticator app. And you click on that, and then it will say, all right, give me the current valid 6-digit token. And that's where he'll use 2FAS to give it the token.
Okay.
Drew, if I have my iPad and my Android phone next to each other with the program 2FS on them and had it open, would I see the same numbers on each of them?
Yes, they'd be identical.
Are these new numbers or the original numbers?
They change every 30 seconds.
They change every 30 seconds.
Kind of like the old Mission Impossible, you know, where the numbers come up and in 15 seconds it will self-destruct. But the
Many,
secret,
many years ago, when I first signed up for PayPal, they used to send a little fob,
yeah,
and it had 6 numbers on it, and they changed every so many seconds. And when you went to log on, it said, look at your device and see what the numbers are. You type them in, and it knew it. And I had no idea how that worked, but it worked.
magic.
It's now dead. I still have the thing, but it's dead, and you know you can't replace the batteries, but they don't use it anyway.
Okay. Well, I think Dick and Huey, you get the analogy that I was looking at, and the reason that I brought it up. As administrators of a Google account, it's entirely possible that we might not be able to get in touch with the originator of that account at some time if we change devices. And by all of the administrators having 2FAS on their own computers and devices, should they add a new device or reload their operating systems or something that would cause the device not to be recognized in trying to log into that account, 2FAS would allow you to just verify it to authenticate it.
Right. And what will happen is, let's say you set up 2FAS on your phone today, and tomorrow you get a new phone.
Mm-hmm.
Your new phone, you'll install a fresh copy of 2FAS, and you'll go into the backup section and put in your Google credentials, and it'll restore all your data.
Okay, well, we'll test it out. I think probably the best way to test it out is like one-on-one, to make sure that it's working at either end, as we each get some time to test it out. And we'll talk about doing that together and get one pair working, and then I can work with the other two of you and make sure it's working properly.
Okay.
This whole thing of security, as Tom has said, you see how complex it gets. They try to keep it simple, but it's not. And earlier today, I was talking to Drew about, I bank with my credit. I have an Amazon credit card, and it processes through Chase. Chase has to be one of the largest credit card processors in the world, I would think, among the largest. And the only thing they do is text your phone. They will call you. They'll give you a computer voice. That's your other alternative. So you can get your 6-digit number that way. They don't use authenticators. They don't use passphrases. So it just amazed me that they would not use an authenticator. I would like to use an authenticator with all my actual checking accounts, bank accounts, and credit cards, and they just don't do it. Maybe they're so big that for them to convert all their banking services to an authenticator system would be a major cost to them. I'm not sure.
They also don't have control of it, so therefore, if there's a security breach and it's not their fault, they have no control.
Well, there are authentication systems out there that aren't in the mainstream Microsoft, Google. I don't know who actually runs 2FAS system. We have a CPA that we used in past years, and it's a major firm, and this is a local franchise, and they have their own authenticating system, which is probably a franchise of a franchise too, but I couldn't use my Microsoft authenticator. I couldn't use my Google authenticator. I probably couldn't use my 2FAS authenticator either. I had to download their authenticator and use it. in order to send them my tax returns and financial data and to get my tax copies back. But all right.
I guess I'll ask
Okay,
a silly
well,
question. Do I need this program?
If a financial service that you use on a regular basis, or something like your Google account or your email account, if they have two-factor authentication with an authenticator, it is probably a more secure method than using a password or passphrase. You're going to find Bitwarden, since you're just starting with Bitwarden, you're going to find that as you set up each password, login and password pair, you're given the opportunity to put that secret authenticator code in for the account that you're doing at the time that you create that record in your password manager. If you do it then, and you're using that, it's kind of like the web extension that Drew was talking about. Your password manager will actually put that 6-digit number in for you. So now you're at the beginning of the system and it would help you.
It sounds like I live alone, and when I pass away or can't deal with well, basically, if I can't deal with financial things, important things, then that would come in handy when my brother-in-law can get into my accounts.
Yes.
Because a lot of them, I'm using, all of a sudden I'm using Face ID as an authenticator, but and I think there are options there. If there's an option, then they could use this 2AS authenticator. Is that correct? Am I
Yes.
thinking the right way?
Yeah.
So I need to write the important things down, financial accounts.
We've done, at our age, we all make arrangements. At least we should. And so, for example, the last time my son was in town visiting, I just said, "Hey, let me get your fingerprint on my phone," and I did that with my wife. So the three of us all have our fingerprints on my phone, just in case I'm not available to, put my fingerprint on the phone and unlock it easily. Although he has my passcode anyway. But it's good to have that. And 2FAS has a better way of sharing an authenticator than the Google or Microsoft authenticators do. So it seems like that's a good thing to have. And I'm going to look at it as a complete replacement for my Google authenticator, just to see if it works better for me. And because I can share it and easily export it and back it up in my Google Drive, encrypted.
Okay, well, I have some work to do, I guess. Drew, can I go back? I've signed on to Bitwarden, and they gave me, I'm not sure what they did, but there's an authenticator on that one also. Oh, well, I guess it's just my secret passcode, master passcode.
Right. You have a master password that you should be familiar with and never forget.
Yes. And isn't there an authenticator key also along with that? I'm not sure. I have to study this stuff, so I'm asking questions
I don't
shouldn't
recall
know.
if Bitwarden uses an authenticator instead of the master passcode.
Okay. It's just that this master passcode.
Yes.
Now, should I change? I'm kind of taking up time here, but should I change that every now and again?
Doesn't hurt.
It
Okay.
doesn't hurt, but the more you change it, the more likely you are to forget it. And if
Yes.
you ever forget it, you're screwed.
Yes. 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 I totally agree. I mean, I don't want to have to have that problem for sure.
Well, okay. If you've stuck around long enough and listened to me long enough, I use the Proton Mail ecosystem a lot. And besides having a paid account and having encrypted storage and all the rest of it, they've started their own password manager. And they have figured out a way that if you forget your passcode on your computer, you can use your phone to verify your master account and reconnect to it. I've not done that, but it is possible to do that. So there's one way that they've interconnected. But yeah, it's a good idea, to have something that's kind of unique. If there's a friend of mine had his Bible from church, and the family Bible, and he has a ribbon that is sitting on a page, and he uses on that particular page, he uses the first 8 or 10 words of that page as his password, and he also uses what's known as number and symbol transposing. So like an A is a 4 and an E is a 3, and like that, and just to make numbers and letters. So he just basically transcodes it, and he knows what that. I mean, even if he misplaced that ribbon on that page, he knows the passage from the Bible where it is, and he's told his wife and he's told his son, and they all know where to look for it if they have to. So it's just something that you would have a place that you can back it up somehow or make it available to family if you need to, so that they can get on your system.
Right.
Hey, you said something about putting in it was a 15-digit or 15 code in, let's say, Google. And then if you wanted to use the two-factor authentication, use that same key somewhere else, is it the same key? Are you putting that in more than one place?
It's different for each site, but there's one secret code for Google. There's another secret code for Chase if Chase supports.
All right, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So you just have to, with your financials, you just have 2 or 3, like for Schwab or Chase or what have you. It's secret stuff.
But you yourself should never really, once you have set up your authenticator, you yourself should never actually have to go look for it. It's just, again, as Drew said, if you don't do it at the time you set it up, and you're not using 2FAS, you're using some other authenticator, it's almost impossible, if not impossible, to get it. So in the situation that I mentioned, the analogy, if you will, of me and my son wanting to get things set up, and I wanted him to actually get my secret code for my Google account, and I'm not using 2FAS at the moment, I'm just using the Google Authenticator, I can't recover that number, that 15-digit number. So what I would do is I would turn off all two-factor authentication on my Google account, go into settings, turn it completely off, probably close everything, clear my cache, reboot my computer, go back into my account. It'd want to verify who I am in different ways, password and login and whatever, and then set two-factor authentication up again, this time using my 2FAS as my authenticator, and copy that 15-character number into 2FAS. And from then on, it's actually a part of the 2FAS system that we're using. I can back it up to Google in an encrypted storage on Google Drive. I can export it and send it to somebody else who can import it, and then they can get into it. Or I could send them an email if I wanted to with the 15-digit number, and they could, get into it, which I probably wouldn't do. But the process, for something as simple as that, as a pair, let's get this one account synchronized between several people and their devices, it would be a good process to do for me to do that now with I probably have about 15 or so authenticator accounts at the moment, of my 800 password and login pairs. And to turn them all off and turn them back on again, I would be busy for a while. I've got other things to do at the moment.
Well, for starters, you really only need to do the ones that you need to share
with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like just, like for myself, just a bit warden or or whatever. Anyway, thanks, guys. More things to think about. And now I know if I have a problem, now I know where to go to get an answer.
Well, Tom, I think we've got you on Discord now, don't we?
Yeah, we did. I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I see you're logged in at the moment.
Yeah.
So feel free, you can do it too. You can chat with either of us by text, or if you see one of us on at the same time and you're saying, hey, I'm working on this and I'm having some problems, you can actually turn on a video chat during the day if we're available, and we'll talk at you.
And I have to remind myself there's no dumb questions.
That's right.
Wait a minute, I should know this stuff. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, one of the things when you talk about all this great security and so forth, that you really have to consider is for the day that you're no longer here. And
well, we are at CFCS. We know that we've been through a very sad year, losing our president, Stan Wallner, and Stan did not make the necessary preparations to pass on all his digital identities and passwords and his phone, his simple 4-digit phone code, which they had to hire a technical expert to literally hook it up and go through every possible combination of numbers to try to get into the passcode into his phone, which they finally did. Yeah, we all need to do that. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
We thank you all for coming tonight, and I will pass the recording out.
Thanks a lot. Out and over, or over and out from California, near San Francisco.
Take care, Tom. Glad you made it.
Yes.
The rest